Hello friends, and welcome back to Diablo 2 Golden Ticket. Skip to the 1 minute mark if you don't want to hear some kind of sad real life stuff. A few weeks after I made the second video in this series, I was diagnosed with stage 4 appendix cancer. In early November they had to take out a bunch of my organs and put me on chemo for 6 months. The cancer isn't curable, but I've probably got a couple years left at least. My health's going to be very unpredictable, and for some reason chemo has kind of wrecked my voice, so you're going to get videos on a very unpredictable schedule, and also I might sound a little weird. But I still love making these, and I'm going to make as many as I can. Your comments and likes mean the world to me, so keep them coming. Okay, that's enough of the grim stuff. Let's move on to the grim pretendy stuff. We're going to make a new friend this episode. A hard-edged warrior woman named Cassia. She's a bit older than Usendra, and there's going to be a bit of an ongoing power struggle between them. Maybe some mud wrestling, we'll see. Meet Cassia, an Askari warrior from the Skobos Isles. Like their dissident branch, the Sisterhood of the Sightless Eye, the Askari are matriarchal, and their leadership is divided into oracles and warriors. Askari warriors are better known as Amazons.
Well, well. I never expected to see an Amazon in these lands. You're very brave to have come here. Many of my fellow sisters have fallen under some dark spell, and if you're not careful, you may fall prey to it as well.
Cassia isn't planning to fall prey to anything. She's the predator here, with a javelin made from the wood of a toxic tree, and the blessing of Zerai, a minor Askari goddess of vengeance and storms. So yes, our Amazon is going to be focusing on use of the Javelin. Following the Icy Veins guide, after a point in Jab, we saved up 4 points and didn't spend them until level 6. Then for the next 4 levels, we spend 1 point each on Power Strike, which adds lightning damage to melee hits against single targets, and the slightly more useful Poison Javelin, a ranged ability that leaves a trail of poison behind it and damages anything between you and your target. You have to aim a little more intelligently than something like Usendra's Charged Bolt, but it can be quite effective. So for a long time in leveling Cassia, we're just going to be using these 2 abilities. The comments I made about Poison Wood and the Blessing of Zerai, that's the actual canon lore behind why those 2 abilities work. Okay, back to the story. The young sorceress Usendra, having earned the Sisterhood's trust by putting an end to Bloodraven, is looking to make some headway against Andariel, but how?
It is clear that we are facing an evil difficult to comprehend, let alone combat. There is only one Haradrim sage, schooled in the most arcane history and lore, who could advise us. His name is Cain.
Woohoo!
You must go to Tristram and find him, my friend. I pray that he still lives.
Usendra isn't from Conduras, so she has no idea how to get to Tristram from here.
Tristram is too far to journey by foot. Cain would likely be dead when you arrived. However, there is a magical portal that will take you there instantly. To open it, one must stand within the circle of cairnstones and touch them in a certain order. The proper order can be found in the runes written on the bark of the Tree of Inifis. You must find the sacred Tree of Inifis and bring back its bark. I will translate the runes to unlock the stone's mystic pattern.
Akara also informs her that another woman has recently arrived in camp, one who was instantly accepted by the Sisterhood without having to do anything at all. So before she even meets Cassia, Usendra's already a little annoyed with her. Cassia has been occupying herself running around with a sightless eye mercenary in the stony field and killing bad things. She's a hard-ass who's here to fight evil and chew bubblegum, and bubblegum hasn't been invented yet. Cassia's independent from years of nomadic life, roaming the plains near the South Sea and coming into constant conflict with non-Askari. She can be something of a lone wolf, but she doesn't mind having a little help as long as the help falls in line behind her. The only person she would fall behind is Queen Zaira, the leader of the Amazon caste and one of the 2 women who rule all of the Askari people. Cassia finds the stony field infested with flying monsters called Bloodhawks. In particular, the local variety known as the foul crow. Bloodhawks of various kinds are found all over Sanctuary, so as a seasoned mercenary, Cassia knows the key to controlling their population is to destroy their nest. Ew. So I mentioned the Amazon cast, but the Askari's Oracle cast are the ones who foresaw not only the dark exile that sent the prime evils into Sanctuary, but also the events happening now, which means Cassia has been training for this exact situation all her life. Near the foul crow's nest, Cassia finds a peculiar moldy tome that tells a grim tale, but she's not much of a reader. What Cassia does find that interests her is a peculiar circle of standing stones.
These stones serve some magical purpose.
Cassia goes back to the camp to ask Askari about them and finds out those are the stones that can open a portal to Tristram to rescue the scholar Deckard Cain. Someone just has to find a strange tree bark that will unlock the stone's power. Askari says to Cassia, I sent the young sorceress Sindra to find the Tree of Inifis, but she has yet to return from the underground passage leading to the Dark Wood. I worry for her safety. Cassia isn't particularly worried about Isendra's safety, but she promises to keep an eye out for her. Once she sees what's down there in the underground passage Isendra took, she begins to doubt that any soft-handed sorceress got out of there alive.
I need mana.
Because she hasn't met Isendra yet. Her little sightless eye follower's in trouble, so she tosses her a potion.
Thank you. Not enough mana.
She's starting to realize that she's going to need help. Not just random mercenaries, but truly skilled people. She's going to need people who are willing to leave this land and travel wherever the quest takes her. So there are actually 2 levels to this underground passage, and you don't need to go to the 2nd level to get to the Dark Wood where the next step of the quest takes place. However, the 2nd level always has one of those sparkly chests in it, and more things to kill for more experience and more loot, so I definitely recommend clearing it all out. A little note about mercenaries. You saw how you can heal them with a potion? You can also give them weapons, helms, and chest armor at your discretion, which is nice. Meanwhile, Cassia is still pondering what sort of team she's going to put together. She's interested in 2 other random travelers she's met in the Sightless Eye camp, a paladin and a barbarian, whose names she didn't bother to learn, but they both seem highly skilled and also very much willing to take orders from her, which is important. After fighting off seemingly endless waves of demons, at last Cassia finds the end of the underground passage leading to the Dark Wood. Here is where she expects to find the Tree of Inifis. The Dark Wood is a forest in northern Honduras that was once well traveled by merchants, but not so much these days. Its southern reaches are full of very old trees, of which I assume Inifis is one, and the Dark Wood's northern edge is marked by a wide river that tumbles westward out of the inland mountains and separates it from the Charval Wilds and the nation of Entsteig. Entsteig, Westmarch, and Honduras are the 3 western kingdoms that the legendary Rakkus converted to the faith of Zakarum when he came west. Cassia finds the tree and get a load of who's guarding it.
What a strange-looking tree.
Some of the names in Diablo are randomly generated and so end up sounding kind of silly, but this guy is always named Treehead Woodfist. Anyway, now he's Treehead Deadfist. Cassia looks at the bark of the tree, but she sees no runes. She walks all around it, and all she finds is a place where the bark has clearly been carefully sheared away. After all her trouble, she has nothing to show for it, which kind of makes her want to murder someone. And then the rain comes down as though sympathizing with her mood. Woe is Cassia. She returns to Askari, who already has the runes because Isendra brought them.
Ah, very good. I have translated the runes on this scroll. You must find the cairnstones and touch them in the order that I have written.
Cassia nabs the scrolls, since she did the work anyway, and rounds up her favorite meat shields, not pictured here. We'll learn a bit more about those meat shields later, including their names. The stones are guarded by a fallen imp named Rakanishu, revered by all the fallen imps who seem to invoke his name as a battle cry all over Sanctuary. Rakanishu! Once you hear it, you can't unhear it. I assure you that during this fight, a barbarian and a paladin are quietly helping Cassia. Think of this as Cassia's POV. They're basically invisible to her because she doesn't care about them, and she's the hero of the story. Jab! You'll notice I'm actually finally using the Javelin she's spec'd for. At first I favored the bow just because I was so used to it from Diablo 1. Cassia's level 10 now. I should note that this build is strictly for leveling purposes, and if I wanted to do max level stuff with her, I would respec somewhere down the line. But we're not going to be at max level when we finish the story. I'm not even sure what max level is, to be honest, so if you want advice on max level builds, look elsewhere. Cassia steps over the corpses of the demons and corrupted sisters she's slain, and she pulls out the parchment that High Priestess Askari gave her, the one with the correct order to activate the stones. I mentioned that Cassia isn't much of a reader, but this parchment is mostly pictures, and she does know her numbers up to 5. She's got this. Cassia wasn't sure what she was expecting, but a lightning tantrum certainly wasn't it. She takes this as a blessing from Zerai and steps through the very ominous-looking portal to go and rescue an old scholar.
It's as if a great war were fought here.
Now, once again, what you see here doesn't quite match the story because trailing behind her are her 2 meat shields. Furthermore, the portal stays functional for quite a long time once it's been opened, so not long after Cassia goes through, a very annoyed Isendra arrives at the Standing Stones, followed by her own quiet shadow, the necromancer Zul. All 5 of these heroes are canonically here when Cain is rescued, but it's Cassia who actually opens the cage and lets him out. From his POV, she's described as a tall, beautiful woman with golden hair. Just a second, Cain. She's not going to release you into a crowd of demons. If you look carefully, you can see some landmarks you might remember if you've played Diablo 1 or watched my Diablo series. There's the well that Morena had to get Jazreth's help purifying, for all the good it does him. You can see the inn there. Looks like the sign got stolen again, or maybe Ogden never put it back up.
Deckard Cain, go to the rogues' camp without delay!
To turn in the quest, you head back to the sisters' camp, but there are a few things I want to show you here before we leave. Cassia has no way of knowing who this hulking fellow is, but Cain could have told her. This was his dear friend Griswold, Tristram's blacksmith. In our last series, he repaired all of Aiden's gear for him and also advised him to the location of an anvil that Aiden would later carry up 7 flights of stairs. Death by 1,000 arrows. Rest now, Griswold.
I am overburdened.
If you were wondering what became of young Wirt, the only good news I have is that he wasn't raised as a zombie. He seems to have made out pretty well with the little business he had running, but he never bought passage out of Tristram, more's the pity. You can also loot his leg, which isn't much of a weapon, but if you hang on to it, you can use it for something downright insane later. Ah, yes, inventory Tetris time. They even bring back the music from the first game, just in case you weren't already feeling nostalgic enough seeing the smoldering remains of your old stomping grounds. Cassia is feeling somewhat sobered by her trip to the doomed little town, but now it's time for her to head back and make sure the scholar is safe and sound.
You have risked your life to rescue Cain. For that we thank you. We must seek his counsel immediately.
She goes to talk to Cain, and as he explains what Aiden did in Tristram, Cassia also eavesdrops on the conversation somewhat restlessly.
As a token of my gratitude, I will identify items for you at no charge. Regrettably, I could do nothing to prevent the disaster which devastated Tristram. It would appear that our greatest fears have come to pass. Diablo, the Lord of Terror, has once again been set loose upon the world. As you know, some time ago, Diablo was slain beneath Tristram, and when our hero emerged triumphant from the labyrinth beneath town, we held a grand celebration that lasted several days. Yet, as the weeks passed, our hero became increasingly aloof. He kept his distance from the rest of the townsfolk and seemed to lapse into a dark, brooding depression. I thought that perhaps his ordeal had been so disturbing that he simply could not put it out of his mind. The hero seemed more tormented every passing day. I remember he awoke many times, screaming in the night, always something about the East. One day he simply left, and shortly thereafter Tristram was attacked by legions of foul demons. Many were slain, and the demons left me to die in that cursed cage. I believe now that Tristram's hero was that dark wanderer who passed this way before the monastery fell. I fear even worse, my friend. I fear that Diablo has taken possession of the hero who sought to slay him. If true, Diablo will become more powerful than ever before. You must stop him, or all will be lost.
Cassia realizes there's no way she's going to be able to stop the Lord of Terror without help, and so reluctantly she invites the sorceress Isendra to a strategy meeting, and of course her shadow comes along too. It seems you're capable, Cassia tells Isindra, but I am older and more experienced, so I expect my orders to be followed. Then you will be disappointed, says Isindra. This is my quest. You can come along if you like. Will they be able to work together? Stay tuned and find out.